Good evening, everybody. Live in the pits of Motorcast, your host Dave. I got on the line with me Robert Albertson, the driver of the Blazing Angel Jet dragster. Hey, Robert, how are you tonight?
Not too bad. Just sitting here hanging out, enjoying some good weather here in South Carolina.
Yeah, what kind of weather you guys got today?
Oh, man, it's sunny, and it's very high 70s today. It's a little cooler than it is usually. It's usually in the 90s by this time of year, but I'm enjoying it. But now you're relaxing. It's great.
Yeah, we're in the 80s in Illinois. We should be in the 90s this weekend.
That's fantastic, but sometimes it's a little hot, especially, when you're at the races, sitting there, sun beating down on you. But it's nice when you're at the beach, though.
Yeah. Especially for you wearing that fire suit.
Oh, yeah. I'll tell you, the fire suit, that really adds a lot to it. And it's not so bad when you're racing at nighttime, but when you, especially with my fire suit, I got a black fire suit, so you're sitting there getting ready, sitting in the car, 90 degrees out, sun beating down on you, and it can be pretty brutal, but, I suppose I could be doing worse things.
Yeah. So Robert, when did you start drag racing?
Well, I started drag racing back in 1996. My first drag race, I believe, the date was actually May 5th, 1996. I was 15 years old, and I had always, I'd always liked drag racing. My dad always used to take me to New England Dragway up in Epping, New Hampshire, to go watch the shows and see all the match races and things like that. And it was just something that I fell in love with. And when I was 15, we actually found it was a car that was raffled off by a racetrack, and it was super cheap. I mean, it was nothing fancy. I think it ran 11th in the quarter mile. And we picked that thing up and decided that we would go out and try to do some drag racing. And like that first race, May 5th, 1996, and the funny thing was I actually ended up winning that day, so everybody kind of figured I had a natural talent for it at that time. I did the bracket racing thing for a number of years. I went all the way up to Top Sportsman, did a little pro mod racing, local pro mod stuff, and I started with jet cars, I think, 6 or 7 years ago now. I think 6 years ago.
So about 6-7 years ago, you got your jet license?
Yeah. I picked up, basically what ended up happening was I was running Top Sportsman at the time, and I just had a couple of experiences where it was just getting really, really expensive. I ran a blown alcohol car for a number of years, and what happened with that one was I had, it was running great, had a brand new motor built, spent a ton of money on it, and went out there and third pass on the new motor, kicked 2 rods out the side of it, and that was a little discouraging there, so I ended up actually, I ran a blower motor for 1 more year after I fixed that one, and I switched to nitrous for a year, and I ran this Top Sportsman with nitrous motor, and just the expense of it was astronomical. And I had a buddy up there in New England by the name of Ernie Bogue, who runs the Beast from the East jet dragster. And he kind of got me into the jet car thing. Said, look, you go out there, run fast, you don't hurt parts, and best part is, they book you in and get paid to do it. So I sold off all my Top Sportsman Pro Mod stuff and picked up a jet funny car out of Oregon. A real nice car, and it took me about a year and a half to get licensed. It was kind of a funny thing. One of the interesting things about the jet racing community is there's a bunch of people out there who don't necessarily like newcomers coming in because it cuts into their bookings and things like that. So I had a real hard time finding people who would be willing to help me get licensed. So my buddy Ernie Bogue there, he stepped up to the plate and took me under his wing and helped me get licensed, and the rest is history, I guess.
So when did you get the dragster?
Well, I ran the funny car for, I want to say, a year and a half. So I'm going to think, what year is it? 2017 now, and I think this is my 5th year with a dragster. And actually what had happened with the funny car was I was running it, and I wasn't planning on selling it, to be honest with you, but I ended up getting a call from a guy actually down in Mexico. He was the first and only jet car driver in Mexico at the time, and he was running an old J34 powered funny car. I was looking for something, newer that would be more, I guess, just faster, more competitive, that sort of thing. And he ended up just seeing my car online, I guess. He gave me a call and wanted to know if I'd be interested in selling it. So at first I thought it was kind of a joke, the guy called up and asked about a car that wasn't really even for sale. So I basically told him a price, and he agreed to it. And he flew up about a week later, checked the car out, and shipped the thing down to Mexico. And that kind of left me without a car for, I'd say, about a half a season. So I did miss out on about a half a season there. And my buddy Ernie that helped me get licensed, he was actually looking at building a brand new car. So he gave me a great deal on what was his old Beast from the East, which at the time was only maybe 4 or 5 years old, so fairly new car. Had just enough time on it to get, all the bugs worked out, really straightened out, and running good. So I picked that up from Ernie and did my crossover licensing at New England Dragway, and I've been traveling the country racing that car ever since.
Okay. So what's the quickest run time you've had with the Blazing Angel dragster?
The best pass we made was at ATCO last year. We won a 5:19 in the quarter at 308 miles an hour. That same day, we also ran another 5:20 at 301. My car is one of the few ones out there that is really good out there, still running 300 miles an hour. You got myself, you got a Scout Holdridge, Ernie Bow, you got Hannah Motorsports. But most cars nowadays, they've been kind of turned down. I guess I can't say as I blame them too much, because you go out there and you get paid for the show and things like that, but you don't really get paid to go out there and throw that 300 mile an hour number on the boards. But it's more of a, I guess, I don't know if it's an ego thing for me, I guess, but I like to go out there, go fast, and put on a good show for the fans. So I think I'm a little bit more aggressive than I'd say 90% of the drivers out there, but I can count on one hand. There's a number of us out there that go out there and try to hit 300 miles an hour on a regular basis. So the car is a really great performing that dragster, and fans seem to love it everywhere we go.
Yeah, I know Scotty Heat likes to hit 300 miles per hour.
What's that now?
I said I know Scotty Heat likes to hit 300 miles per hour.
Yeah, Scott's a great guy. I've raced with him several times, and we actually had kind of a thing going there for a while where every time we seemed to run against each other, something would either happen to his car or my car, and we seemed to got it figured out the last time we ran, which I believe was last season up in Martin, Michigan. We ran up there. I don't remember what he ran. I only ran 299 miles an hour that time, but I did get the win against him that time. But it's just something nice about going up there and getting that time slip and seeing 300 miles an hour. It's a great feeling to go out there and know that you've gone out there and done that and done things that just most people can't tune their cars to do. So it's a nice feeling. Like I said, myself, Scotty, Ernie Bogue, there's a bunch of us that, a few of us that really like to put the mile an hour up there.
Now, what kind of engine do you have in the jet dragster?
My car runs a J60 Pratt & Whitney. Actually, my funny car ran the same thing. Basically, right now, if you got a fast car, you're either running the J60 or the J85. The J60 is there's a lot less of us out there running those. And basically, the reason behind that was back in the mid-'90s, there seemed to be a surplus of J60s out there, and they do make more power than a J85. So there was a few cars built in the 90s that used the J60, but the prices seemed to get a little bit out of hand for them just because they were a more robust they quit making them in, I believe, 1992. So most everybody had converted over to the J85s, which are still quick engines. They're lighter. They put out a good thrust-to-weight ratio. Like, so they don't put out quite the thrust of a J60. So I'm one of the few guys that are still out there rocking the J60 and making it work for us. And it's actually working out pretty good right now. The FAA, they just had a thing here, I believe, at the beginning of this year, where they've got noise regulations for the planes flying around, and the J60 no longer meets those noise regulations. So it's kind of made an influx of parts available for the 60s, so it's kind of dropped the price on the parts and things like that, which has made it a little bit easier for us to run. It's been awfully expensive there for a while with the price of parts and things like that, where it had been so long since they were produced. But now it's not too bad, and I'm kind of enjoying it while it lasts, but I think eventually once all those parts are sold off, it's going to get real expensive again.
Now, I know the jet dragsters are lighter than the jet funny cars, so they're faster. So what kind of weight difference are you looking at?
My funny car weighed in at, I want to say, right around 1,700 pounds, 1,600, 1,700 pounds, and the dragster weighs right in at around 1,280. So you're looking probably a good 400 pounds difference between the dragster and a funny car, and that really helps out a lot on the short end of the track, 60-foot times, things like that. The dragster, it just pulls so much harder off the start than the funny car did, and it's just the dynamic of a thruster vehicle trying to move that weight down the track. It just that weight is a big difference.
Right.
Hey, it's not playing. I can't hear it. I can't hear the interview.
Oh, my wife said the interview's not playing. She can't hear. She's trying to listen upstairs. I guess it's not going through. It says it's going.
What's that now?
But it's not playing.
No, my wife just told me the interview is not playing for some reason. She's trying to listen live upstairs. She just ran down about it.
Oh.
See, finish up covering whatever you have to cover. And get in.
I don't know. It says it's recording though. So how many crew members do you have?
Right now, most races, I've just got myself and 2 crew members. I got my dad that shows up to every race, as well as my brother. So it's a family operation. My dad, he more oversees what's going on, and my brother, he's a guy that really does stuff on the line. He gets the car started, gets make sure the air pressures are fine in the fuel system, and basically make sure everything's going great at the line. My dad, he's usually the one that hops up in the truck, runs down to the top end of the track, and puts picks up the chutes and things like that, and helps with the top end of things. It's one of those things where you could probably do it with just one crew guy, but two seems to work out great for me. And being a family thing, it's a good family. I think it's a family event to go out there and run like we do.
So when you started drag racing, did you have any inspirations?
Yeah, I'll tell you. When I first started, I was a huge fan of John Force. I mean, John Force was always my favorite, and there's some other drivers I like. Some of the more historic type of guys. Don Perdome, Don Garlett, guys like that. Kenny Bernstein, and as I kind of evolved a little bit, I got to know some other drivers through the years. Del Worsham, Cruz Petragon, guys like that. The old Nitro Funny Car guys. And I mean that was kind of my inspiration as far as the racing went. As I kind of started moving along and progressing in my racing career, I kind of moved away from the Nitro stuff and got into the door car thing. So guys like Scotty Cannon and Bill Pullman, doing the door car pro mod stuff. I mean that I think is I still think that's the coolest stuff out there. You got a car with doors that open and close, running. They're running crazy times now. This past weekend I was at the PDRA race up in Budds Creek, Maryland. And actually, I got smoked by a door car. Jose Gonzalez with a Q80 twin turbo Camaro. I think I ran a 363 to the 8th mile, and he ran a 352, I believe it was. I mean, these pro mods and door cars now are just absolutely insane. So I'm kind of lucky doing what I do now, running with these PDRA guys and getting to follow around this pro mod series. It's kind of like a dream come true for me, where I've always liked pro mods.
Yeah, I was about to mention that you were. I noticed you were racing a lot of pro mods and door slammers these days.
Yeah, I followed basically the entire PDRA series. PDRA, it's a newer racing organization that focuses on door cars. It's just a fantastic group of people. They put on really the best show there is, and I kind of got brought in to, attract kids and things like that, and put on a little bit of extra show, close out the show for these PDRA races. And this spring, we kind of decided it'd be kind of a cool thing to line up a jet car against some of these, what they call Pro Extreme in the PDRA. So we kind of started out with the first race, and it's been a huge hit. We missed this race this past weekend that I did with Jose Gonzalez. I think there's one video online right now. It's only been a couple of days, starting up to 172,000 views online. So it's very popular for people to see the jets running against pro mods, especially the stuff that's as fast as what the PDRA is running these days. People just seem to love it.
Right. Now, how'd you come up with the name of the Blazing Angel for your jet?
Well, kind of an interesting story there as well. My grandfather, he was in the South Pacific during World War II, and he was actually on PT boats himself. And I've kind of been a World War II buff, really into that time period and that sort of thing. And he used to tell stories about, all these fighter pilots in World War II, and they basically call them blazing angels. They'd come in there, the fighter planes, and, guns blazing and things like that. And it was just kind of always these crazy stories in the back of my mind about, the blazing angels and these fighter pilots during World War II. Actually, my last door car was a similar theme. It didn't have a name on it, but it had that World War II fighter plane theme. And so when I ended up with a dragster, I decided I was going to go all out with the theme, do the World War II fighter plane deal, blazing angel on the side of it, and it's been just something that I thought about for years and years, hearing those stories, and it's kind of a tribute to the people who serve in the military and protect our country and things like that. That's really what it's all about.
Now, do you have a favorite track you like to run on?
Yeah, actually, right now it's Galot Motorsports Park in Benson, North Carolina. And a real close second, I would say, would be Maryland International. And I'd say probably third would be New England Dragway in Epping, New Hampshire. I mean, all three of those facilities are fantastic. The Galot Motorsports Park there in Benson, North Carolina, that's a really cool facility. It was just purchased here. It used to be Dunn Benson Raceway a few years ago, and they just put a ridiculous amount of money into it, and it was just a world-class spot. The reason I like Maryland so much is, it's a little bit of a longer haul for us, but, the shutdown area is great. The traction's always awesome. I can always hold the car on the line really good. Just all the facilities are fantastic, and there's really great people up there. There's always a good fan turnout. And, of course, New England Dragway up in Epping, New Hampshire, that's kind of where I grew up racing. It was, where I got my jet license, and, that's where I always did my top sportsman, pro mod sort of things. So, those are the three tracks that really stick into my mind as the ones that I would call my favorite.
So do you prefer the quarter mile or 8 mile?
I really, I prefer the quarter mile with a jet car. When I was racing door cars, I was actually more of an 8 mile kind of person, because that extra 1/8 of a mile is really hard on parts. And I obviously I like the speed and being able to go faster than a quarter mile. But when you're spending a ton of money to go out there and run the numbers that people are running, it was not economically feasible to go out there and run a quarter mile all the time. So when I was running door cars, I was kind of an 8 mile guy. With the Jets, you don't have to worry so much about tearing up parts and things like that. And being able to go out there and run 300 miles an hour, that really makes quarter mile a lot of fun for me. I mean, I am having fun nowadays. I have been doing a lot of 8 mile racing with a PDRA. And the reason I've been doing a lot of 8 mile is all these, most of these pro mods nowadays, they're just so fast to the 8 mile that they're just, they're not really built to run quarter mile speeds. Although I do believe I may have a rematch coming up with Jose Gonzalez here sometime before the summer, though, which is going to be quarter mile. And I really expect that car to run 285 miles an hour at quarter mile, which is insane for a door car. But as far as myself going out there, I like quarter mile passes.
Now, what type of fuel do you run your Jet on?
I run diesel fuel probably 99% of the time. On occasion, I will run kerosene when it's available for cheap, or basically if I run out of diesel fuel track, that's what I have available. I know a lot of guys they'll run the kerosene. It's a little bit more refined. You may pick up a little bit in mile an hour with kerosene, but it's just the expense isn't really enough for me to swap over to it. And so I basically just use diesel fuel all the time. I'll go through usually right about 15 gallons between my fire show, making a pass and things like that. It's the most economical way to do it. And myself and my crew, we're very good at tuning the car. We've got it right down to a science. So with the fuels that we use and everything, we can pretty consistently, when it's nice air out, go out there and knock on that 300 mile an hour door and not have to worry about running kerosene or any of the more expensive fuel.
Now, with the fire show and everything, what do you burn, about 18 to 20 gallons per show?
Yeah, usually, when I'm doing 8 miles, around 15 gallons, and when I'm doing a quarter mile show, that little bit of extra there, we usually end up with around, like I said, 18 to 20 gallons is what we end up burning. Depending on who we're, or what kind of running or who we're running, we do have to change our show a little bit. My car only holds right around 20 gallons, so I got to be very careful as to how much smoke and fire I make and things like that. There's a few people out there that they take a lot longer to do the show and get going than others. So you kind of have to be cognizant of who you're running, what kind of car you're running, to make sure that, there's almost nothing more embarrassing than getting out there and run out of fuel at half track. So kind of gotta keep an eye on that, especially with mine with single tank.
Now, since you've been driving jet cars, the funny car and the dragster, have you had any near accidents or accidents at all?
No, knock on wood, the jet cars have been really good to me. Both cars that I've run have been just incredibly stable, well-built cars. The funny car, like that, I didn't have as much experience with that as I do with the dragster. But the dragster is built by Dan Pace Race Cars, DPRC, up there in New Hampshire, and he builds the best jet dragsters, the best jet cars in the United States. And he really knows what he's doing, and he knows how to build these cars that go down the track. And it's like just like driving a Cadillac down the track. One hand on the wheel, and you point to shoot. It's extremely stable. Now back in the door car days, I had a lot of close calls. You get down there, and actually I ran some Outlaw 10.5 stuff for a while as well, and those were really scary ones. You get to about half track, and the power really starts coming on. You break the tires loose and swap in lanes. So the Jets are a lot more stable going down the track than what I was used to before I got into jet car racing. The big thing with it, really have to watch out for with the Jets is in the shutdown area. They don't have the surface area of the tires to really to get on the brakes when you first get to the finish line. You really have to depend on that parachute to hit and scrub the mile an hour off before getting on the brakes. And that's where, you see, I'd say probably 90% of the accidents that you see with jet cars are driver error due to getting on the brakes too early at the finish line or hitting the brakes in a panic. And that's really where you see most of the issues with the jet cars. And I think I do have an advantage myself where I did run, different styles of cars through the years. Like I ran the Outlaw 10.5, Pro Mod, Top Sports, and I actually ran Altered for a while. I mean, I've run everything through the years, and all those different driving experiences have helped me kind of, hone in my skills in driving the jet cars and be what I would like to think as a safe driver and pretty well respected as far as jet drivers go. I know that there's a lot of guys out there who really never had the chance to get the experience with different types of cars. They basically stepped into jet cars from, whatever it would have been. I mean, they may not have even raced before at all. So, that's where you see a lot of the accidents kind of happen. People that hadn't really had this racing experience to figure out, what you can and can't do on a car.
Well, that's good to hear that you've been safe since you started driving jet cars.
Yeah, I mean, I like it a lot. The jet cars, it's a really fun thing. I mean, I can't really see going to anything else. I mean, I guess if money was no object, I would probably have one of those Pro Extreme cars running PDRA. But I mean, running on a budget like we do and traveling around, I mean, jet car is really the way to go for us. It's not a ton of maintenance between rounds, things like that. It allows us to interact with the fans, talk with people, meet everybody, and just kind of socialize and enjoy ourselves at the track. Whereas I think, a lot of other types of cars, you don't really have that advantage. You're always working on things. So the jets really allow me to enjoy the races and the atmosphere there and all the fans and people.
Now, do you have any sponsors for your jet car?
I do. Right now, my big push right now is MC Aviation out of Missouri. They are a fantastic organization. They're basically a parts supplier for turbine parts and things like that. And what they specialize in is actually good for me is the J60 engines like I use, and they supply a lot of parts for helicopters and things like that. So a really great company. They support me a ton, and I mean I couldn't ask for a better sponsor.
Now on a race day, Robert, do you have any special eating habits, or you just eat regularly?
Generally, I used to not really eat much at all. Nerves to get to you and things like that. But I've been doing it for so long now, it doesn't really seem to bother me too much. So, aside from being racetrack food as opposed to regular food, I eat pretty normal. The hours might be shifted a little bit, just depending on when I'm running and traveling and things like that. But I try to keep enough in my system there to keep going.
So what's Robert's favorite food?
Man, that's a tough question. I gotta go with probably a nice New York strip steak. You don't get that too much at the races, but a nice New York strip, you can't beat that.
What's your favorite drink?
Most of the time I drink water. I don't drink very much soda or anything like that. Occasionally, usually after a good day at the races or whatever, my crew and I will crack open a couple of beers and celebrate that way. But most of the time I'm a water guy. I try to be somewhat healthy. It's tough nowadays with as easy as it is to get junk food and all this stuff like that. But I try to stay a little bit healthy and eat well.
Right. So do you have any hobbies outside of drag racing?
Yeah, well, I had more than I do now. I used to be a pretty avid scuba diver. I used to play guitar for a while, but I've been so busy lately with, the racing, and I've got a 16-year-old son and a 3-year-old daughter at home that take up most of my time nowadays. But I'm also into street routing. I got a really cool 31 Ford all steel. It's actually built on basically a NASCAR super modified chassis. It's got the big old 18-inch wide slicks in the back and the 14-inch wide slicks in the front. It's all set up to do road racing and things like that. So I got a pair of street tires I'll throw on there, drive that around, and kind of cruise around on the weekends when I'm not racing. I like to do that, and like I said, most of the rest of the time I spend with my family. We like to go to the beach, things like that. I mean, they're extremely supportive, and I don't mind spending my time with them. That's actually one of the hardest things right now is, with the 3-year-old. That's the hardest, where you're sitting there at the races, especially where you're spending a whole weekend. You've traveled some time there, and you talk to her on the phone on the FaceTime, and she's telling you, "Daddy, I want you to come home." And that's tough. You gotta kind of choke it down and man up, get down there, make your runs, pack everything up, and head back home so you can spend time with your family.
Right. Now, if you had a career alternative, what would it be?
Well, I've actually the jet racing is more of a side job for me. I'm actually a nuclear engineer in my I would call it my professional life. I've got an engineering degree, a mechanical engineering degree, and I've been working in the nuclear industry now for, I want to say about 15 years. So that's kind of what my main deal there, and try to do the racing there on the weekends. I mean, if I had my choice, I'd be able to do racing full time, but with the traveling and family and things like that, I think I've got it going pretty good right now. Having a job where I can be home each night, spend time with my family, have dinner with them, and have the flexibility to actually go out and go to the races and enjoy that. I think I got a pretty well rounded right now, and I can't complain at all. I'm very happy with my situation.
Now, if you were able to go back in time and change something, would you change anything?
Not really. Everything that I've done, especially in my racing career, has really helped, kind of develop who I am and what I've done. Maybe the one thing at racing I wish I wouldn't have done is blown up that brand new blown alcohol motor I had, because that cost me a whole ton of money. Besides that, really, I think the decisions that you make in life, they make you who you are. So, I don't regret anything that I've done, and I think that, everything has led to where I am today, and everything's happened for a reason, and I don't think I'd change a thing.
Now, you said you play guitar. What kind of music you like to play?
Oh man, I was way into the metal, playing, well, actually, when I was in college, I had a buddy who, we kind of had a Metallica cover band thing going where we play all the time, so I was big into Metallica, but I'm also into the heavier stuff. I like, Sepultura and stuff like that. I like that kind of music. Some people think I'm crazy, but, hey, Metallica, Sepultura, Rammstein, any of that stuff gets me going. I love listening to it before I hop in the car, get my adrenaline pumping, and ready to go.
No, so you and your crew listen to the metal out in the pits?
Well, me and my brother do. My dad, he's more of a Beatles kind of guy. He doesn't really get into the metal too much, but he tolerates the chorus. He's a good sport about it.
So you like the 80s hair bands too?
A little bit. I used to like Poison a lot back in the 80s, and well, Motley Crue, I don't know if I really call them a hair band, but they still had the hair, the makeup, and all that back then. That was kind of my style, in that time frame. But even back then, I was more into the heavier sort of things, the Motorhead and Black Sabbath and stuff like that. I'm more of a heavier kind of guy myself.
Iron Maiden, Judas Priest.
Oh yeah, yep, exactly.
Megadeth.
Yep.
Yeah, that's what I listen to. That's why the radio show's called in the pits of metal and motorcast, because we interview metal bands and then race car drivers, drag race drivers.
Oh yeah, awesome. You know, if you get a chance, there's a guy by the name of Eric Paone. He's a singer for a metal band called Sandy Scraper Death Orgy from up there in New England. You'll have to look him up. He's a friend of mine, and great musician and super into drag racing, especially the nostalgia stuff. Nostalgia funny cars and things like that.
Right.
He's been involved with the band Nuclear Assault for that thrash metal sort of stuff. I mean, that guy would be a great interview.
Yeah, I have to look him up.
Yeah.
Well, Robert, I want to thank you for your time for the interview. Any last words for all the fans out there?
Just thanks for listening. The fans are really the reason that everybody, all the drivers go out there and do this. I mean, if the fans didn't show up, we wouldn't have a place to go. We wouldn't be able to do it. So the fans, they are everything. So just thanks for coming. Go out there, support your local racetrack. If you see, jet cars or something going through a track, come out and see us. And especially if you got CDRA in your town, the series that I've been running, you got to set that up. That is the best race in the world right now. So go out there, see the races, support the tracks. We can't do it without you.
Well, thank you again for your time, Robert.
All right, thank you.
Stay on the phone for a minute.